what you need to know about the upcoming city elections and using AI in that intense race for Senate, plus how the war in Iran is impacting our farmers. Thanks for being here.
From the studios of KMAC Television in Lubbock, your local election headquarters. This is Talking Points.
To jump right into our coverage of these city elections, we have City Secretary Courtney Paz here with us. She's going to help break down what's on the ballot and why it's important for our city to get out and vote. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, so let's just start. We have 3 councilman positions on this ballot for May 2nd, and also the mayor is up for election.
Yes.
So can you talk a little bit about what the council people and what the mayor does?
They decide on policy for the city. So they approve our budget. They have council meetings twice a month, and there are a lot of things on their agendas each month, and they decide, how city funds get spent. They have a threshold the city manager does of spending, and then when it goes over that threshold, the council gets involved and makes those decisions. We have numerous city boards within the city of Lubbock, and the council does make those appointments. There's a few rare instances where maybe the mayor appoints someone or the city manager makes that appointment, but ultimately the council makes the majority of those decisions.
And so from my understanding, 2 of those council people positions are contested.
Yes, Districts 1 and District 3. District 5, Dr. Wilson is running unopposed. And then the mayor's position does have several members running.
So why do you think people should get out and vote? We have a lot of elections going on right now, and so this one coming up on May 2nd, it's actually before the runoffs, and so it can kind of slip under the rug. So what we're trying to do by having you here is get attention on it. So I'd love to hear your call to vote on why people should get out.
The voter turnout in Lubbock, sadly, is not that great. About 16% turned out for our last May general election, so May of 2024. And even with that, we had a proposition on the ballot, which I think drove the numbers to come up just a little bit. But there's around 190,000 registered voters within our territory, and about 31,000 showed up to vote. And that's a pretty small number in comparison. And I know there are a lot of passionate people in this world and in the city, and I think it's very important to get out and vote and exercise your right and be involved with local politics all the way up to the federal level. Every vote counts, and especially in these local elections where the numbers are smaller, every vote really does count. It could make the difference of a runoff or not.
We know that Councilman Rose did resign or announce his resignation. Just wanted to check in and see, this will not be on the May 2nd ballot, correct?
That's correct. Right now it's scheduled to be on our council meeting next week on March 24th. Council will vote to order that special election and set the date. Okay,
interesting, good. And when it comes to what to know to go vote, what should people expect when they head to the ballot box?
Just make sure that you are registered to vote. Let's see. Early voting period is from April 20th to April 28th. So get out there and vote. Most United locations are set up as a polling place, and that does make it really convenient. Within the city of Lubbock, we're very fortunate, Lubbock County, that we have vote centers, so you can vote anywhere you would like as long as it's within, Lubbock County. And then you make sure 30 days before Election Day, so on or about April 2nd, you have registered to vote, so that way it becomes eligible come Election Day.
Well, is there anything else that I missed?
No, just get out there and vote, and thank you so much for having me.
Great, thank you so much, Courtney. When we come back, we are going to speak to one of the candidates for mayor that we talked about earlier.
You're watching Talking Points, a focus on the political scene in Lubbock and across the South Plains.
Today we are back with one of the candidates for mayor in this election cycle coming up in May, and so we have Stephen Sanders here, this is not your first time running for mayor.
This is my 5th time.
So let's just start with having you introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about who you are and why you're running.
Right. My name is Stephen Sanders, of course, and I've been in the business of trying to get our city on the right track for about 8 years, and it's just hard to even believe that, but it's been great. I really love the city. I've grown up here. I went to Lubbock Independent School District and then graduated from Texas Tech with a degree in advertising. And I double minored in creative media industries and business. And so, and just learning this whole process over the years has really given me a foot forward in what we need to do to get our city back on track.
What are some of those things on your agenda if you were to win this election?
So the big picture here is our city finances. We have about 981 million revenue coming in, and about 943 of that is the general operating fund. And we've got to find a way to get us out of this deficit that we're in. Generally speaking, there was a tax increase recently. I think it was 0.472191, which is lower than the is higher than the no new tax revenue rule, but low enough to not initiate a election, which is still a tax hike. And so I want to alleviate that, and how I want to do that is to bring in 48 million in revenue from festivals. So we want to do music festivals, we want to do food festivals, and we want to do innovative tech festivals so that we can bring in revenue. This is infusion revenue, so it will go to our small and local business owners, and then we'll make great tax money from that, millions of dollars from that, as a matter of fact. And it'll hit two buckets. That'll be the sales tax and the hotel occupancy tax as well. And so we're going to do that. We're going to be really good at that. That's going to help us. The other part of that $100 million plan that I have for our city to get us in a place where we're not penny pinching is our. We want to use I-27 as a place to leverage income. So we want to take over the transportation field, put a inland port out on I-27. I said 50 million, 52 million, just a conservative estimate, but it can generate over 150 million dollars. And we will be able to breathe, and we won't have to raise the taxes. That's the thing. We want to keep the taxes low. Times are hard right now. Inflation is killing us, and we have got to be more conscious about not raising the taxes. Find the money. We have a $15 million consulting fee that we pay right now that comes out of our budget. We're going to cut that. We can find someone to consult us for $1 million. And so we can give our taxpayers room to breathe and to make money. And that's the whole point. That's my aim. That's where I want to go. And that's going to be really important.
This money that you are wanting to generate for the city, where would that then go or be allocated?
So that's going to go and help us fix our roads. We have over 3,000 miles of road that we have to maintain, and so that's going to help us do that, so that we don't have to raise the taxes. Over the years, and it's been this way forever, the one way that the city has always tried to fix things is to raise the taxes. It comes from the homeowners and the residents, and we've got to get away from that. I'm not going to do that to our residents. I'm going to work really hard on the budget to make sure we clean it up and to make sure that we find the money. We already have the money in the budget. We have just got to cut all of the corrupted taxes that we have, like that 15 million. We've got to do that and be really good at that.
You have three opponents in this year's mayoral race. What do you think helps you stand out comparatively?
Well, I have more time around the political scene here in Lubbock than anybody. I may not have won. I've run 5 times, but I know the issues. I know what we have to do. And it's important to me. This is not a bucket list job for me. This is something that I want to do and be great at it and leave a legacy behind so that the Lubbock citizens know how to vote for a mayor. If they don't have the qualities that I have, if they don't want to do the things that I want to do, that's not who we should vote for. And so we have got to get away from that. We had, it was our 115th anniversary, Lubbock's birthday, but we're starting a new era. We're done with the old way. business as usual doesn't work for us. It doesn't work for the business owners. It doesn't work for the residents, the people who need to put food on their tables and keep their businesses going.
What do you think keeps you coming back to this job? Why do you think it's important, and why do you think people should get out and vote for it?
You know, I love this city, and I'm a Christian man, and you know, when I think about the Bible in general, Jesus wanted to wash Peter's feet, and Peter said, no, you can't do that. And Jesus said, well, if I can't wash your feet, then you know you can't be with me. And so I feel that same way about the people of Lubbock. I want to wash your feet. I want to make sure you're taken care of. I want to show you that I care. The one way I can do that is to save you money so that you can take care of your family and to be a good family person, and be able to do things for your family that's important. That's important to me. And I love this city. Each person, I don't care what color you are, what race you are, what you do on your personal time, none of that stuff matters to me. I want to make sure that you're okay with your family and your bills and your businesses. So that's why I keep coming back.
Okay. Stephen Sanders, thank you so much for joining us today.
You're watching Talking Points, a focus on the political scene in Lubbock and across the South Plains.
Well, welcome back. The deadline to apply for Texas Education Freedom Accounts extended to the end of the month. Families can still apply for the vouchers meant to help pay for private school costs after a federal judge ordered the state to extend the deadline to March 31st. That ruling comes from a lawsuit over the exclusion of certain Islam-based private schools from the program. The extension is meant to give the comptroller's office time to update their website and include those schools. Remember, vouchers are not guaranteed, and more than 160,000 families have already applied. The state says they are prioritizing lower income and special needs students. An update in that race for Senator Cornyn's seat, the Republican primary runoff between him and Attorney General Ken Paxton. It's definitely happening. The deadline to officially drop out and not even have a name on the ballot was Tuesday. Okay, well, yeah, why is that news? Remember President Trump saying on Truth Social after the primary that he would endorse one candidate and ask the other to drop out? Well, that didn't happen before the deadline. Of course, a candidate could still say that they are no longer running, but their name would still be on the ballot. This race has already become the most expensive GOP Senate primary ever, especially in the advertising realm. One of the most recent ads from Cornyn's team, a little bit unconventional, but negative ads are also creeping into our local races. You've seen them on your TV screens,
Senator John Cornyn turned his
and on your socials. Campaign ads aren't going away anytime soon, and they seem to be getting more creative. That Republican Senate race that's heading into a runoff, spending more than $110 million on advertising alone. Senator John Cornyn's campaign releasing this music video made with AI, targeting his opponent, Attorney General Ken Paxton.
Then when you've got competitive contests, we're more likely to see what appears to be negative advertisements.
Blank says it's the fight for attention on different platforms, forcing campaigns to get more creative.
The danger, of course, is that you multiply this hyper negative campaigning with AI content that can be eye-catching if misinformed. And then that leads to less trust in the system as people don't know what to believe.
Even local elections, seeing negative ads.
Parrish joined the only Democrat.
Lubbock County Judge candidate Wesley Houck putting out this video against incumbent Curtis Parrish.
I'm always concerned about negative advertising. I don't know that serves the people very well.
Parrish says it didn't impact his strategy in the primary.
If I'm coming to you and I say, will you hire me for this job? The last thing I want to do is trash the people who've applied before.
While Cornyn fought
I think it is much more likely that this is going to get a lot worse before it gets any better.
Blank says as we get closer to the midterms, the ads could get more frequent and more dangerous.
We're going to see candidates for office being portrayed doing things that they've never done, saying things that they've never said. And it's going to be up to the press and it's going to be up to us as citizens to be hyper vigilant about this type of content, because as of right now, there's not really much stopping it.
Well, Texas did pass a law in 2019 that bans the use of deepfake videos to influence voters. That's those really lifelike AI videos that mimic a person's face or voice. But the law only applies to state races within 30 days of the election, so this race for Senate is fair game. An attempt to require visible disclosure of using AI in campaign ads passed in the Texas House last year, but stalled out in the Senate, so it never became law. However, they did pass the Texas Responsible Artificial Intelligence Governance Act that regulates how businesses and state agencies use AI to track customer data and bans the use of AI to cause personal harm or restrict a person's rights. On that topic of AI, a multi-billion-dollar AI data center project, billion with a B, is coming to Dickens County just north of Dickens itself, according to permits obtained by KMAC. The company Galaxy owns a center there already. Now it's beginning phase 2 of development. A previous press release saying Galaxy anticipates generating an average annual revenue of more than $1 billion over the 15-year term of its ownership agreement there. This announcement coming weeks after another company holding a town hall over their data center project in Abernathy. People there expressing concerns about water and electricity usage. That company says it's using sustainable energy practices. We will keep you updated on these projects on KMAC as we get more information. When we come back, the closure of the Strait of Hormuz affecting, yes, your gas prices, but also a critical part of our ag industry. Next.
You're watching Talking Points, a focus on the political scene in Lubbock and across the South Plains.
Spring break is coming to an end, but we're going to check in on some news out of Corpus Christi. There are several warnings that several Texas cities could face issues with their water supply in coming years, but that coastal town is at risk of being forced into serious water rationing as early as this May. That would happen because the city would not be able to meet the public and business demand for water starting as early as November. City leaders are still hopeful they can avoid this, but the refineries and chemical plants in that area are already preparing to reduce their water usage in order to keep operating.
You can drive the situation to a point where it's no longer possible to continue to operate. All the plants are coming up with plans to be able to continue into at least the early stages.
While Corpus Christi leaders focus on short-term solutions, we're told their long-term goal is a desalination plant. The financial cost of the war with Iran hitting more than just gas prices. In addition to those high fuel costs, farmers are also seeing a spike in fertilizer prices, with more than a quarter of the world's fertilizer traveling through the Strait of Hormuz. According to Argus, that's who sets benchmark prices for things like this. Now, as cotton farmers get ready to plant this spring, they're preparing to possibly make some sacrifices.
We're starting to kind of get into that window of needing to make decisions.
Stephen Brosh helps run his family farm.
Cotton, like all crops, needs fertilizer.
And that fertilizer needs nitrogen in compounds like urea, but nearly half of the world's urea comes from countries threatened by the conflict with Iran, like Qatar and Saudi Arabia. Prices for urea jumping 19% in just 1 week, according to the American Farm Bureau Federation.
It comes back to how much can we afford to, is how much we can put out there. Not how much does the crop actually need, because it's going to need more than we can afford to put out there.
Fertilizer can account for 15 to 20% of the cost to grow cotton and other ag commodities like it, meaning this jump in price is tightening farmers' already thin margins.
Commodity prices aren't great and don't seem to be going up that much, but input prices are.
Texas Tech ag economist Darren Hudson says even though the U.S. gets most of its fertilizer from Canada, the competition for products from the Middle East is causing prices to go up worldwide.
You know, if you're a fertilizer manufacturer and somebody's willing to double the price, if you put it on a ship and send it somewhere, that means that domestic price has to go up to keep that supply local.
You could see a yield hit in the end, which there again, with our low commodity prices, we need the yield to overcome that, to pay for everything.
With no clear timeline to end the war from the White House, Brosh getting ready to plant in the next 2 months and hoping patience will pay off.
If you can hold off a little bit on, say, a fertilizer purchase, hold off and see, because it's shot up really fast. Maybe it hit the top. You never know.
Another crop that uses a lot of fertilizer is corn. And on March 10th, a coalition of mostly corn farmers from 14 states, including Texas, sending a letter to Attorney General Pam Bondi and Secretary of Agriculture Brooke Rollins, asking for an update on their investigation into those increasing input costs for farmers. That investigation actually started last fall. And since the war in Iran started, the Department of Justice's Antitrust Division launching an investigation into whether leading fertilizer producers came together to increase pricing. That's according to Bloomberg reporting. Well, thank you so much for joining us on Talking Points this week. We hope to see you right back here next Sunday. Have a wonderful rest of your week.